Okay, gang, after a week break, I am back with a new podcast episode. And if you guys didn't know, I'm posting this on Wednesday, and then usually I either post a piece of content, whether that be a YouTube video or a podcast. That's what I try to do every Wednesday, so that way I have some content for you guys. But yeah, today I've got a podcast with a very good friend of mine who I really admire and respect. And she's quite a bit of fun, so I hope you guys really enjoy listening to us ramble on for quite a bit and really enjoy the episode. So, yeah, that's all I really have.
What? What an idiot! Oh, what a loser!
Okay, everyone, welcome back to The Loser Lounge with Colin, Keady. We are on episode 6 now, and I am joined by, you guys know, my 3 audience of listeners, my mom, attractive females who are obsessed with me, and cool guys who want to get even cooler. So you guys know, I got reached out to by this crazy girl, and she was like, "Oh, Colin, I'm obsessed with you. Put me on your podcast." Is that right, Jillian?
That is indeed not the way this happened.
I don't think so. It's your word against mine in this case. I definitely think that's what happened. We can debate that later on. But Jillian, if you'd like to introduce yourself and tell everyone about yourself, so that way they can.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Jillian Woodruff. I am Colin Katie's longest DC friend. As of what's our friendship going on now? 3 years, senior year of high school?
No, it was junior year.
Junior year, yeah.
So I guess like 3 or 4?
Yeah, 3 or 4 years now. But okay. I would like to think I am Colin's best friend from DC. Not to take anything away from our friend Claire, but
okay.
Yeah.
So you talk like I have a large pool of friends from DC. Are you saying that I'm a very popular individual in the District of Columbia area?
It depends on who you ask, I would say. I mean, I would say it's more Arkansas people who have been to D.C., but now that we have people that live in D.C. that we don't know, you just don't know,
No, I know. The people at Extreme Pizza, who we ordered pizza from every night, they definitely miss us, I have to say.
Y'all's customer, it was really there.
You're right. But yes, so Jillian, you should tell them that you're a college student.
I am a business major at Washington Baptist. All that fun stuff. I get to look at accounting and business law and all that kind of stuff all day long.
Aren't you also a political science minor, or is that?
No, I'm a legal studies minor. I have the dream of one day going to law school and going into politics. But you know what? We'll see what happens when we get there.
And why is that? What's the draw of law school or public service?
I just really like it. I went to Girls State. I mean, I'm sure the dedicated listeners have already heard about Colin Katie's experience at Boys State. Well, I had a much better experience at Girls State. I will let you know. I ended up being the chief of staff for our governor and got to spend the entire day in the governor's office and meet with him. And I really liked it.
I see. Interesting. So did you feel that Girls State was a lot more mature and serious than my Boy State story?
I would like to say so. The boys that I have heard about that you've told me, they don't seem like the cream of the crop, even though they were supposed to have been.
Yeah, but Arkansas Boy State kind of just sends some pretty interesting characters, to say the least.
They do.
But let's transition over, Jillian, and talk about how we met, okay? And so you mentioned the D.C. thing, but we got to kind of elaborate to tell everyone that, because the weekend D.C., with Youth Tour it was a real banger experience, 10 out of 10. So why don't you tell it from your perspective, and then I'll hop in if I think there's anything that you're missing.
Okay, should we start the embassy when we all?
Well, that would probably
the great start of meeting everybody.
Well, again, yeah, I think that's when we met each other, so we might want to.
You might want to start there.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're lucky enough to win this trip to Washington, D.C., whether it was like through interview or writing an essay. You know, we got a free trip to D.C. for an entire week. And it was kids from all over the state of Arkansas. So there was a large variety of different people here. I want you to know that from the get-go. So we ended up all meeting in Little Rock at the Embassy Suites. You know, we bonded. A lot of us had just gotten back from Boys and Girls State. We were like, oh my gosh, all these people there. And look, didn't know you, but here we are. So that night we were free to do whatever we wanted, you know, go down the pool, go in the hot tub, you know.
Go to the strip club.
No, okay, I didn't do that. Some people may have.
I don't think we were allowed to do that, but I definitely think with some of the characters on our trip, they possibly could have gone if they would have really seized that opportunity. They would have. Was it given to them? But okay, continue. Okay,
so I knew from the get-go I needed to find somebody with a good personality on that trip. I didn't want to get stuck with some fuddy-duddy, you know. Because I didn't know who all was on this trip yet. So we go down to the pool that night, and here is Mr. Colin Keady himself with his little trendy swim trunks on, you know, looking very in style, knowing what's going on, and his speaker playing the best songs I have ever heard. And I'm like, wow, I need to know him.
Oh,
and exactly. After a week in D.C., you know, our friendship flourished. We got to know each other. The inside jokes that we have. I mean, the meetups 2-3 times a year since then, you know, it really hit.
You're right. You know, the speaker that I brought solely for the purpose of having shower music, I cannot, it's hard for me to shower without having music. And so that speaker was probably a little bit larger than I needed for just the shower, but it
came in handy for the pool.
Exactly, and it's like a closed room, and so it was like super loud, and so that actually worked out pretty well.
I honestly, though, I feel so sorry for the poor other people staying at the Embassy Suites that night. I mean, there were, probably 50 of us on this trip?
No, there was like 30 of us, maybe.
80, I don't know.
Probably less than that,
well, ballpark, you get the number. I mean, imagine, you're just staying at the Embassy Suites, this poor little family, and their little 3-year-old wants to go swim in the pool. And all of these hormone-deranged children are in the pool listening to rap music.
Exactly.
Traumatizing for the 3-year-olds, to say the least.
Clean music only. We weren't that delinquent. But you mentioned, you said, my trendy swim trunks. I'm kind of curious what you're implying with that.
You definitely had the style down. You didn't look like you were from a homely backwoods Arkansas city.
Yeah, well, I wouldn't say Alma's probably too far off from that, but I just, it's interesting that that's what you recall of all of that. That's interesting. I don't even remember what swim trunks I brought on.
You know, I think they had blue in them. I couldn't tell you.
Oh.
I've slept a little bit too much since then.
Yeah. Interesting. Now you're gonna make me go home and I will hop in for the moment and tell everyone that the podcast has gone mobile at the moment. That I am located in my aunt's house in a spare bedroom at the moment. On the podcast tour. You're the only stop, Jillian. So I guess that's a good honor. But yes, we've gone mobile. You know, coming to a city near you. But okay, then with DC, is there anything that you remember? Anything funny with me? I don't want this to sound pretentious, but I don't know that my viewers, unless it's a really funny story about something, and I know there's some stories we probably can't tell about that trip. But is there anything that comes to mind? Anything funny that you recall?
The constant dancing.
From me?
Yes.
Oh! I know what you're. Shoot.
I would look over at Colin. I mean, almost 24 hours of the entire trip. Every second I was with him.
She wouldn't leave me alone.
He was constantly shooting. And
obsessed with me.
I wouldn't say obsessed, but I mean, we did become pretty close friends on that trip. But every time I looked over, he was shooting. The amount of videos that I have of him shooting, just standing there talking to people, shooting. The amount of museums that you have shooted in.
Yeah, okay, we gotta... Shooting sounds bad if you don't know what it is.
It really does.
It's like where you hop on one foot and then your other foot like flies out. You like kick with it.
Very, very popular dance.
Exactly.
At that
and
time.
you time up your arm at the same time as your kid. But the kids know. But for our older audience, we got to explain some of that. I think one of my prize stories was, Martin Luther King stood at the steps of the Lincoln Memorial, and he had a dream. I, on those steps, decided to have a dance battle with a little kid. Because there were all these, and if you guys have never been to D.C. during the summer, and I know at the moment you really can't, but there's all these little kids walking around with these like safety belts on these tours. And so I really wanted one of these. So I went up to these kids and I was like, hey, I'll dance battle you for this. And they were like, oh yeah, let's go. And so the kids started dancing. And then I started shooting. And while we're waiting for like the Marine parade to come through, like there's just all these people on the steps, and here's me just like shooting right in front of this whole crowd, and everyone was cheering me on, which is probably not a good idea.
Memorable to say the least.
I mean, I have to say, I think that should go down in the history books. Martin Luther King's speech, maybe tip top of the list. Number 2, my dance battle.
Yeah, it was pretty funny in the midst of him having the dance battle with this very small child for his safety belt. I mean, keep in mind, it wasn't just Arkansas that was in D.C. at the time. I mean, there were people from all over the country. Like I think every state but like New York was there. Yeah. They got gypped of that trip. Feel sorry for them. But no, there was somebody in our trip. Kansas was sitting, probably 4 steps down from us.
Probably.
And so, we live in good old Arkansas, as some people like to call Arkansas. And so I vividly remember, I think it was Craig. Good old Craig. Oh, Craig. He gets up and makes a loud commotion. I mean, we're all just sitting there, like Colin said, waiting for these people to come through, The Marine Parade. Yes. And all of a sudden behind me, I hear, yo, Kansas! And I turn around. I'm like, oh, God, I know this is somebody from our group. Mm-hmm. And all of the people from Kansas turn around, and I know what's fixing to happen. And he yells, our Kansas is better than your Kansas. And the look that we got was just sheer disappointment from their entire state.
That doesn't surprise me with Craig. Yeah, and I enjoyed some elements of having other states there, but sometimes it was kind of a nuisance when you had all those other kids there. It was. It's like, why couldn't we just be special?
It was interesting, though. While we were there, we had like a pin and sticker, like a like exchange type thing. So it was the big thing to get a pin from every state. And I remember, I think it was Iowa, they handed out corn cob necklaces, and I was like, I still have my corn cob necklace, and I was like, what are the odds? They said full send with that one.
Exactly. I got my taste of that with DECA. Like, I got a pin from every state or whatever. And so I was like, I was not interested in that. I'd been there, done that, did not need to do it again. So I remember just putting those on other people because they were like sticky. And so I'd just go stick them on other people and their stuff. So that was a good highlight. What else? Is there anything else from DC you remember that you'd like to discuss?
There was just so much that happened. I mean, so much. There were unmentionable people that, God forbid, if they ever heard this podcast and their name was put aloud, I don't know what would happen, but there were some people on this trip that probably should not have been on this trip.
Well, I don't know that I disagree. I don't... They were just a little different. And were probably not mature enough to handle this experience. Yes. And so there were some interesting characters.
I do remember one. I can't remember who it was. She got an FBI hat or something. Oh. And you called her.
No.
Was that what happened?
Before you say this, I did not call her. I did not partake in this.
Okay, I retract my claim.
Yeah, there were
other students called her. And they were like, this is the FBI. We have to ask you to stop imposing as one of our agents. And as she was one of the more immature people on this trip, she began to freak out and have a panic attack that the FBI was going to come and throw her in jail for wearing one of their hats. Mm-hmm. But, I mean, she lived, so that's okay.
She did, yes. She was not tackled. by the FBI. She made it. We all made it somehow. I'm not sure how.
We didn't lose anybody the entire trip. That was a plus.
Yeah.
With that many people. Nobody got kidnapped or picked up.
Which is probably a good thing. Yeah, I'm kind of surprised that with our group there really wasn't a scare of that sort.
Yeah. I mean, there was people from every spectrum on that trip with us.
Yes.
I mean, every background, every future, they were there.
I agree. I think if anyone who was on that trip or has been to a youth tour or a trip similar, they'd understand. If you know, you know. They'd understand.
You always have those people.
You unfortunately do. They're in every high school, all over the place. Anything else on D.C. before we...
Well, she's not here with us today because she's currently living in D.C. She's living the dream. We all left D.C. saying we'd go back, and she's the only one that really made the reality a dream come true, you know? But she is Claire. I mentioned her earlier, I think. And
okay.
Otherwise known as Velma. Colin.
Oh, Jinkies.
Jinkies.
Oh, brother.
Jinkies.
I don't know that Claire listens to the podcast, I think we could say whatever we wanted about her.
Claire really completed our trifecta on that trip.
She did. I felt like you were you were kind of the up for anything, just going out exploring, and Claire was kind of on the flip side. She was. Yeah. I'm trying to think of a good way to describe this.
She was very, guys, let's not. A little bit.
I'm trying to, to put this in terms, she was Velma.
She was.
Which Scooby-Doo character would you be in this instance?
I don't really know, to be honest with you. I would like to think that I would be Daphne's fun sister that doesn't get, in a trap every 2 seconds.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, Daphne always does get caught. She's always the bait. So, interesting.
And I can't compare myself to Scooby-Doo or Shaggy, so I'm not even...
Like yoinks!
I can't do that.
Scooby! Interesting. But yeah, I do think Claire's personality fits Velma very well. If you're following along with this podcast and you're wanting to visualize, that's your...
After we got back from DC, I think Claire went somewhere for a week on vacation. This was back when, we all did streaks on Snapchat. It was the thing. And if you went somewhere where you didn't have service, you had somebody keep your streaks because you couldn't let that sucker die. The entire week, I got pictures from Claire from her streak. A picture was photoshopped of Velma on her face. Every picture. You would see her in the Mystery Machine with a picture of Claire's face photoshopped on her. Or you would see Claire's body with Velma photoshopped on. I mean, the pictures that I got that week, uncomparable.
I did a great job on those. I remember she was considering TCU, so I put her face on the horn frog, and then she was at the camp, but then she was playing soccer or something, so then I put her face doing that, and so I had some fun doing that. I put her face on a lot of things, but yes, interesting. That was the real trifecta of sorts. It was like the Three Stooges.
Very comparable.
So anything else from DC? I'm giving the floor to you if there's anything you that comes to mind.
I don't know. I mean, it was just honestly a really fun trip.
Yeah, it was.
I mean, we got to do a lot, see a lot.
Yeah, we went to the malls. The National Mall
we did.
And the real mall.
Regular mall.
Exactly. I remember a story of my old high school history teacher was talking about taking some kids to History Day, and they were like, he said, we're going to go to the National Mall. This girl was like, oh my God, I'm so ready to go. And then she was very disappointed when they got there and realized that the only shopping were small hot dog stands and political gear.
Yes.
What a shame.
No, gosh, the last day we were there, it was terrible. We were so tired. I think we probably walked average 14 miles a day while we were there. We were absolutely exhausted. I mean, it wasn't just walk 13 miles a day. It was get up in the morning real early, go to bed real late at night. Yeah. I mean, it was the full trip. And I can't remember, what museum was it we were at that last day? It was the airplanes.
Oh!
Instead of looking...
The Aerospace Museum.
Instead of looking at anything, almost everybody in our group sat down against a wall until we could leave. We were so tired.
Oh, I walked through it pretty quick. But I remember a story from that featuring Claire. Claire had this thing where if you touched her on her side, like, she'd scream. And so we were
did do that.
Yeah, we were in this like huge room in there, and I remember I just came up behind her and just touched her right on her sides, and then she like screamed, and everyone in this entire place was like looking at us like, what's going on? Let me tell you,
Colin was a little bit of a bully that trip. Not only did he do that to poor Claire multiple times. What other museum? We were in what museum was it? It was where they had all the historical things, the flags, the
historical things.
Well, I know that makes a lot of sense in D.C.
The Smithsonian.
Yes, that's where we were at. I can't remember.
Wait, are you telling the story? I think you're about to tell.
I am telling that story.
You don't want to tell that. You don't want to tell that.
I'm not going to say exactly what happened.
No. You don't want to.
But Colin.
You don't want to elaborate too much on that.
Colin had me do something.
No, you don't. Yeah, you don't want to elaborate too much.
And it was the wrong place at the wrong time.
Yeah, for both of our sakes, you probably don't want to continue the story. It's a fun inside joke.
Very embarrassing for myself. I'll say that to all listeners.
It was pretty funny. It was pretty funny, to be honest with you. But no, my favorite thing was, and I did this to you and a few of the other girls. We'd walk along like the pond, the reflection pond at the National Mall.
Oh God!
And I'd for example, Jillian would be walking like against the pond, and then I would be directly to her right, to her left, or her right, depending on which. But I was like, it was the pond, her, and then me. And so then as we would walk, what I would do is in like a swift motion, I would like hip bump, like hip check you, and then swing my arm around you as quick as I could, so that way you felt like you were about to go in the pond, but like no one ever did.
The fact that I didn't fall in the water is impressive.
You did, yeah.
I mean, there were some like really cute little baby ducks there. I mean, it was a great experience.
You could have killed those baby ducks.
I could have if I would have fell on them. I mean, it wasn't very deep. I just squashed some little suckers in the bottom.
You're right. But yeah, that was one of my great memories of just hip checking people and then like swinging them back in.
It was also very sweet. All those that don't know Colin personally, he has this monkey necklace. Oh. He wears every day of his life.
Bless up.
And we were at one of the Smithsonians, and it was like they had all the animal stuff there. And Colin went to the gift shop and bought me and Claire matching monkey necklaces, so we would all three have one. Yep. The sweetest thing anybody on that trip did.
I'm a nice guy sometimes. No. I'm trying to think if there's anything that I've missed. I don't. I think we've hit most of the highlights.
I think we did. Yeah.
Interesting. Now I'd like to transition over. Jillian, you're in a sorority club. It's not technically a sorority.
I am. By technical terms, social club. By reality terms, sorority.
So, what's it like being a sorority girl? Do you wear Crocs and socks and put your hair up in a bun and walk around going, and I...
I would say Washington is a complete different breed altogether.
Oh,
so the sorority girls there are definitely, the mixture of typical sorority girls. The Arkansas Lululemon, we've got our Lululemon, our Ultra Boosts,
Okay.
It's just, I would say we're typical sorority girls, with a little bit of flair just because we go to Washington.
Oh, okay. Is that a good flair or a bad flair?
I don't know. Saying that I've never been in an actual sorority, say in Fayetteville, I don't know. But, I mean, it's definitely a lot different just because we are so small.
Okay.
My pledge class, I think, had like 55 girls in it.
Okay.
And I mean, to some sororities that may be big or small, but, we really got close and started to bond.
Okay.
Just, it's a lot different than a normal sorority. We don't have a house, for example. We sadly live in dorms because Washington doesn't have very many apartments to offer. But, you know, it's okay. It's all part of the experience.
You're not wrong. Okay, interesting. You know, you might not know this, but I'm not a sorority girl.
I didn't notice. I'm so glad that you told me that.
I'm glad I could really...
I've lived my life a lie until you told me.
There's probably some listeners out there who don't know that either, so I'm glad we nipped that in the bud. Yes, interesting. Well, I've just always been... I don't want to say fascinated, but I've always just been intrigued by specifically our Greek life, just because it's so prominent. I think the statistic is like over 60% of our freshman girls rush, which is just insane to me. And it seems like everyone at the U of A is in a fraternity or a sorority or something close to it, because we have some that are not officially recognized but are pretty close. And so it's just always been fascinating to me how many people get into that, and it's not been anything that I felt like I was super drawn towards, but I'm always interested in hearing or learning about that. But I mean, you can, if you've got anything you'd like to say, you know, because part of it is sorority girls. You have this picture in your head of what a sorority girl is. Do you think you fit that stereotype? Because speaking of, you said that Washington has a good mix, but which of those groups would you align yourself with?
Sorority-wise?
Yeah, you said that you've got the Lululemon, Visco girls, and Oops.
I feel like the Visco girls were a little outdated at this point. Wow. I feel like we've transitioned from Visco girl
to TikTok girls
to a whole new level. I mean, we're not, you know, we're not really doing that anymore. But I mean, I am an avid Lulu wearer. I think I wear my Ultra Boost every day.
Interesting.
You know, I'm a very big T-shirt Lulu.
So you basically just aligned yourself with
every sorority girl.
At
I drive a white SUV. Shocker there. I've got my sorority letters on the back.
Okay.
You know, I've got the typical keychain with the little Louis Vuitton coin bag attached to it with a thing of my sorority letters on it. You know, I feel like it's a typical sorority girl move.
I see. Interesting.
I will say, I don't have a hydro, though. I draw the line. I'm too clumsy. I'd drop it and didn't.
Big fan of hydro. I actually think they're pretty good. I mean, I definitely think there's some alternatives that are a little bit more affordable that I think do probably just about as good of a job. But I think hydro flasks are worth it. And you know, I'll be the first to tell you, I'm a big Lululemon fan. Got on shorts at the moment.
I've been Lulu shopping with you before.
I know.
And let me tell you, Colin's come out with more Lulu than I have at times.
Okay. Don't tell my mom that.
He did hide it from his mother.
No,
sorry,
Marla.
I didn't tell you that.
My mom. I don't hide anything. You're gonna get me in trouble, Jillian. But no, I'm a big fan of Lululemon's clothing, and I used to make fun of my friend's dad, Keegan, for those loyal listeners. Keegan's dad for wearing them, because I was like, "What are you doing wearing these, man? I thought those were for girls."
Make it different.
Let
me tell you, you put on a pair of Nike shorts and then you put on a pair of Lulu shorts. It's unexplainable.
I see. That's very interesting. Okay. Jillian, I'd like to transition now and ask you, why did you drink yum yum sauce in the car with me that one time? So for context, Jillian we were going to this hibachi restaurant, and she started drinking like a cup of yum yum sauce, and I just really didn't understand it, and still don't to this day, to be honest with you.
It was just very good. I really like my sauces. I eat sauces, condiments on everything. I mean, I even eat them on my Lay's potato chips.
Like what? What do you?
Anything. Mayonnaise, mustard, ketchup, yum yum sauce.
That's disgusting.
I don't like them plain. Call me gross or whatever, but it's pretty good. And that yum yum sauce in particular was just very good that day. And I don't think I had eaten anything that day, and this was for supper. And they'd messed up the order once. You know, we were having to wait an extra hour to eat. I was hungry. I was getting hangry. I think that's the reason I drank the yum yum sauce. I was hangry.
Yeah, not. That still puzzles me, and I think it will puzzle me. Do you drink barbecue sauce?
No, I draw the line. But you're not. I told somebody else I drank Yum Yum sauce one time. It was so good. Mm-hmm. Of that same instance, and they looked at me like I was on drugs.
I think you have to be to do that. I
assure all listeners that I never have and never will be on the quote unquote drugs.
Drugs. Interesting. Jillian, I think we might hop over to a new segment, okay?
Oh, goodness.
We've got some show write-ins, and I promise I didn't write all these myself. These are really podcast listeners. But we got some great questions for us to answer, and some of these I'd like your assistance on, okay?
Okay.
So here's the first one. Dear Colin, my name is Justin Bieber, and I was wondering, how can I be as cool as you?
Wow.
From a third-party perspective, Jillian, would you like to address this question first?
From a third-party perspective.
How could Justin Bieber be as cool as me? And I'm not saying this is the Justin Bieber. There's a bunch of people probably named Justin Bieber.
The likelihood, very, very close. I would start off by getting some very trendy clothes. Like I said, I met Colin because I'm like, this man knows what he's doing with his clothing. He's not a bum.
I would also like to add that Jillian said that my personality was fun. That's what she remembered about me.
Okay,
and then I pointed out that when your compliment about someone is that they're fun, that means they don't have anything else to offer.
Okay, but in this concept, Colin is fun. It's what drew my attention towards him as he was sitting with 6 other guys and girls in a hot tub.
Okay.
I was like, his personality just really stands out.
Interesting. So, to answer this question, I think number one, to be cool like me, gotta listen to the Loser Lounge. I think that is great. And
it's
shameless plug.
A great start.
Yeah, exactly. And shameless plug, watching my YouTube channel does just as much. Colin Keady, spelled the same as on the podcast.
It does.
You search that up. I mean, let me tell you, knock your socks off. Great content. But I think you're either cool or you're not. You just can't.
You have it or you don't.
Exactly. So Justin Bieber, I think you're out of luck, man.
You've either got it or you don't. Fake it till you make it, honey.
Okay. Are you ready for the next one?
I am.
Dear Colin, I've got no hoes in any area codes. I'd like to think I was thinking of a more appropriate way to say that, and I was thinking reputable women in various geographic locations.
I think the cleaned up version sounds a lot better. I like to call them garden implements.
So, dear Colin, I've got reputable women in various geographic locations. Okay. Wait, no, I've got no. He doesn't have any.
No, okay, no.
Yes.
Very important right there.
I've got on Tinder, FarmersOnly.com, and many more. My question, how can I pick up chicks like a tornado going through a Tyson plant?
Coming from someone whose dad works for Tyson, that's just a lot funnier than it probably should be.
So, what's the move here, Jillian? You're the female perspective. How does someone pick up chicks like a tornado going through a Tyson plant?
I think that kind of has to go back to our response to Justin Bieber. You either got it.
You got it
or you don't. I mean, you can perfect yourself a little bit to pick up respectful women in different geographical locations. Okay. But, I mean, what kind of respectful, quote-unquote, women are you trying to pick
reputable.
up?
I said reputable.
Excuse me, reputable.
But here's my question, Jillian. Are you saying it's okay to have various reputable women in various different geographic locations?
Coming from someone who would like to be married one day, I'm going to have to pass on his response.
Well, he didn't say that on here that he was asking about you. He was just asking about in general.
I'm not a follower of that trend. I hate to say it, but it's just not my thing.
Wow.
So I don't think I can help him out very much.
This guy wrote into this show expecting great advice, Jillian, and you can't help him.
I'm sorry, my man. It's you get on FarmersOnly.com again. The theme song to the website, it just really, really draws the attention.
Oh.
maybe you'll really find that one girl who will help you drive the combine.
Exactly. And you don't have to be lonely at Farmers Only. Why can't they just match up with some cows? Why do you need a woman when you can just hang out with your cows?
I know, right? I mean, they don't do nothing but moo back at you. You feed them. They're happy. They're happy to see you when you go to feed them. You ain't got to buy them nothing.
Exactly. So, to answer your question, man.
Get some cows.
Get some cows. I'm not sure about this. You know, cool guys are supposed to get even cooler listening to this podcast, and we'll see. I'll have to wait until next week to see the write-ins, to see how that goes. And finally, we've got our first write-in from a female. To Lil Call on the Beat. I recently married the man of my dreams, but I have a concern. He watches anime and plays video games all day. He also doesn't have a job, even though we've been struggling financially. Any thoughts so far?
Get rid of him.
But wait. Here's the last line. To top it all off, he wears Crocs with socks.
Oh, God.
What should I do? Thanks. Does the Crocs with socks part?
It's really just the cherry on top, if you want to know my answer.
Really? Okay.
Honey, you need to get rid of him and find you someone else.
Ooh.
If he's not going to put in the work to care about you, make sure you're taken care of.
I feel like this has really become the Steve Harvey show pretty quickly.
I am a Steve Harvey fan, I'm not going to lie.
Interesting. So, I'm telling you, seems like people really need our help, Jillian.
They do. I mean, just think of all the other people who were too scared to write in.
Yeah,
they need our help too.
I mean, my email, keadycolin@gmail.com, is always open.
And that's Keady.
Yeah.
For all of you listeners.
Jillian, did you think my name was Keady?
No.
You were not one of those people?
I wasn't one of those people. I'm pretty sure you said your last name to me before I saw it spelled.
Okay.
So, that cleared things up quite a bit.
Okay. I get you. Okay, Jillian, next question. What do you want to do before you die?
I would like to live a life of luxury and fun. I would really...
Okay.
I think there's a
okay, Miss Miami over here.
I think there's a fine line, between all of that. But
okay.
Skydiving's definitely on the list. I really want to be a baseball mom.
Okay.
I want to be that mom that puts her kids in t-ball.
Oh, okay.
And I do travel ball. If my husband is not the coach of my son's baseball team, I have done something wrong.
Okay, here we go. Are you ready? I'm going to throw you a parenting situation.
Oh, goodness.
Getting you ready. What if your kid doesn't want to play baseball? Says, I hate that, Mom. That's the worst sport ever. I like lacrosse. What do? Your dreams are crushed.
Well, I'm planning on having more children, so if that kid wants...
What if they all say, I hate baseball?
I'll have to just tell them you'll learn to like it.
So you're not going to transition over to a lacrosse mom?
Coming from someone who's never even watched a lacrosse game, I don't know how well I would transition to that. I'm much more of a baseball fiend.
It's kind of like soccer with sticks, but not like field hockey, but like it's a catch.
Yeah.
So
I know, and from my experience growing up in Southwest Arkansas, lacrosse is not a dire need for sport.
You'd be surprised.
You give us a good basketball, football, baseball game, we go town on that. Lacrosse, not so much.
All of the lacrosse listeners right now are...
I'm so sorry to all
upset.
of you lacrosse listeners. I love you just as dearly as my baseball boys and my softball girls, but it's a sport I don't understand, and I don't know if I will ever understand.
Interesting.
It's like reverse hockey on land, to me.
Oh, okay. I don't suppose you're wrong. Interesting. I'll open the floor. Do you have any questions for me? You got anything?
I do, Keady. I do.
Okay.
Mr. Keady.
Okay, hit me.
How have you been transitioning?
No, I'm not pregnant.
I would hope not.
I would got you there.
I would hope not. This is about the fourth time I've heard that from him in the last 2 hours, everybody.
Still not pregnant, though.
Still not pregnant, though, but he likes to remind me just in case. How have you been transitioning of living at home again this year?
Oh, the juicy topic.
The juicy topic.
Well, my mom's listening, so I can't be honest.
Marla, I love you even if your son doesn't. I promise.
No. Part of it has been, it's weird going to college and having the independence of, if you want to go to Whataburger at 2 a.m, you can. You don't have anybody else worrying about you. You can go do whatever. And so it's been weird to transition back to have parents kind of managing over you. And
I feel like that would be difficult.
And my dad is much less of a manager than my mom is. And so it's just kind of weird to have to say, well, I'm going to go do this. And they're like, why are you doing that? What are you doing that for?
See, in my perspective, it's the opposite. My dad is he'll sit up and wait for me as any good father would, you know.
Are you saying my dad's not a good dad then?
No, I'm just saying that my opposition, you know, is different. My mom is, oh, go have fun, honey. You got money? My dad's more of the, why are you going there and what are you doing?
Okay.
And what time are you coming home? Do you know how late that is? Love Glenn to death. But I think it's the fact that I'm an only child and a girl.
I'm also an only child.
Ah, look at us.
Can you believe that? Look at us. Who would have imagined? Who would have imagined? Yeah, but it's just been really weird to kind of have to deal with that and just get reacclimated. I feel like I'm kind of in high school again to a certain extent, just taking different classes. And so that's really been the weird part for me. But it's not been the worst thing in the world. Saved money since I don't have to go live up on campus. I get fed every day.
Let me tell you, Mom's cooking is much better than the calf.
Yeah. Well, what can we say? So yeah, it's just kind of been weird, but I mean, it's not been bad. Do you have any juicy drama you'd like to spill? Anything about me? Any juicy drama you've been hearing about me in the rumors? I know you run the Colin Keady fan account.
Let me think about this for a couple seconds. I can't think of anything right off the top of my head. Juicy gossip about Colin.
That's good.
I like to keep his personal life pretty under wraps. You know, we don't want people rushing up to him in Chili's asking to take his picture. You know?
Oh, you're not gonna catch me in Chili's. That is one place I do not like. But interesting. So, Jillian, then how would you describe me? Since we talked about this earlier, you said I was fun, but you know me a lot better now. We've been friends for a while. So how would you describe me? I'm really curious what else you have to say besides that I'm fun.
I mean, you're definitely a people person.
Oh.
Colin can strike up a conversation.
A people pleaser?
No, a person.
Oh, okay.
A person. Colin can strike up a conversation with a brick wall. I mean, he's got the, I can talk to you personality trait, and he's just really got the go-getter. I mean, look at him. He's making YouTube videos, doing podcasts, and in case anybody didn't know, he's potentially interning in Washington D.C.
Well, we'll see.
We'll see.
Well, I would like to.
That's why I said potentially. We don't know.
Yeah, but you got to be careful with those potentiallys, because some people say that like potentially. It's kind of like I don't know. We'll see. Interesting.
So he's got goals. Ladies listening, Colin has goals.
Exactly. Single females who are obsessed with me. I mean, I think we've got a lot of those listening. Jillian, you're proof of attractive females who are obsessed with me, right?
I would agree with the attractive. Obsessed, I don't know about.
I got you to say yes. I'm going to edit that out and make it the soundbite. Gotcha there. You got to be careful on this podcast. It's like TMZ. CMZ. I actually don't know what TMZ stands for.
I don't think I do.
Television,
either.
magazine, nothing?
I don't know.
But you just got, to say the least.
I will comment in the comment section on his next YouTube video. For all listeners of the podcast, I have been bamboozled.
Bamboozled. To say the least. You've been call-boozled.
I have. I really have.
I should put that on shirts.
Call-boozled. I think that needs to be our next marketing gimmick.
Maybe. Jillian, are you trying to talk yourself into a job?
I feel like I've got enough on my hands.
Oh, okay.
With the floral business going off. I mean, wedding season, you know.
You're like the guy who's like, yeah, man, I'll help you anytime. Hey, man, could you come help me move my sink today? Nah, man, I'm busy. I'm busy for like the next 3 months.
Well, maybe not 3 months.
Oh, 2.5.
2.5 at least.
Well,
2 3/4.
You know, Jillian, we did the write-in. We talked about some juicy drama.
Mm-hmm.
Juicy is subjective. Well, we'll see how this podcast goes over. But is there any closing thoughts or anything final you'd like to discuss that just pops into your brain?
I would just like to say how distraught and upset I am that I did not receive a spring break this year. Was it smart? Yes and no. Was it good for my brain? 100% no.
Okay.
The 2 extra days I get off at Easter, it's just not going to cut it. I'm supposed to be laying out on a beach right now.
Really?
And instead I turned in a 13-page paper today.
Well, hanging out on a beach with Waka Flocka?
Oh, I know. Playing sand volleyball. Meeting cute guys from Nebraska. That happened to me last summer.
Okay. I was about to say that was a little specific for you just popping that out of your head. Okay, interesting. Well, you know, Jillian, instead you're spending my spring break here on the podcast because I'm currently on my spring break. So you could think of this as like a shared break, you know?
I appreciate you sharing your break with me, Colin.
Exactly. So I really think this has been the highlight of your year, probably, to say the least.
You know, we're only a little bit into the year, so it has been definitely top 10 by far.
Exactly. Perfect. Anything else you'd like to wrap it up with?
Peace out, my dudes.
Ooh. Well, okay. Well, I'd like to thank you all so much for listening. I really appreciate all the support thus far. I think we're at over 200 something downloads, so we've been chugging on up there. And remember, if you guys want to support the podcast, the best ways are to screenshot you listening to it and pop it up on your Instagram, Snapchat story. On Snapchat, you can just link it, you know, make it super easy for them. Reviewing the podcast, 5 stars on Apple.
We love to see the 5 stars.
Exactly. And then, what's the final way to support? Oh, following. I almost couldn't play. Subscribing and liking if you're listening on YouTube and dropping a comment down below. Or following if you're on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or any of the other programs.
Tell all your friends and every friend.
Exactly. If you all told one friend, and they told another friend, and they told another friend, and another friend, and another friend, and another friend, and another friend, we'd have like 100,000 downloads every episode. We'd really be blowing up. So, yeah, I really do appreciate the support thus far. Jillian, I appreciate you coming on here and talking.
I am so honored to be here.
Yeah, we hang out, so I might as well use it for a monetary gain, even though I'm not gaining anything monetarily at the moment. We're working there, though.
Claire, if you're listening, we wish you were here.
Oh, yeah, that would have been fun.
It would have been
the
fun.
trifecta. Man, oh man. Well, okay, everyone, again, thank you so much for listening. Check out the YouTube channel, and peace out, Girl Scouts.